Hello, my name is Katie Morse, and this is Songbird Mansion. This is Milestone 3. And starting off, you still have your original unlock the door. When you get close, this is Welcome to Songbird Mansion. You go up the stairs, and I implemented the new door that opens when you walk in it. And before that, it says find the key or unlock the door. So you go in, and then you can see the door shuts. Collect the key. It says door unlocked. And then you can jump down from here and go to the door. And then I have my switch in here. That's the red light. If you go to it, you'll either switch off or it'll burn really good. So it's switched off. When you go right here, the elevator comes down and the noise starts. And you have to jump out the elevator. Oops. Let me try that again. See, there's the intensity. Elevator drops. So you're in the security room. Notice there's a fire on the square. It's supposed to be a portrait, but for now I just put a square. When you go right here, you press E, you can toggle through all the security cameras. So you see the first one, second one, and then the third one, which is supposed to be the puzzle. If you go to the portrait and press E, this is supposed to be a ghost. And basically, as a ghost, you solve the puzzles in the ballroom. So you can just kind of, you can see that you can still mess with things. Let's see, let me get it correct. So as a ghost, it's supposed to be helping the player accomplish things. The puzzle does work. If I can get the right one and the right one. See it? One of them will at least turn green. See? It works. And then we go over here, you press E, you go back to the main player, and that is it for this milestone. I will be now going over the blueprints. This is the blueprints for Songbird Mansion. So to start off, we're doing the camera change trigger, which is when event begins. So when the level begins, and when the player leaves, it will disable the input, so you can't press E. When the player does go into the collision box and presses E, it will switch between cameras. So this is assembling the E button input. So when an E is pressed, it will go through each camera and show it on the screen. This is the security screen. So at the beginning of the tick, it will show a camera in order between 0 and 2 and default. So for camera 1, it sets the default material. Same with the other ones. They're all different materials on them. And then when it goes default, this will show the default camera material. This is the possessed and unpossessed players. So at the beginning of play, it will disable input. So when you start the level, you can't just press E and try to go into the body of the unpossessed character. Also, when you're not in the trigger box for the character, it will not let you possess it by just simply pressing E. This begins overlap, so when you go in the box and you press E, it will enable the input. It will let you press E to get it, and then it gets the player controller that you're possessing. So this sets up the E and the possessing. So when E is pressed, it unpossesses the current player, which it gets by target, and then it will possess the character that you want to possess, which is the pawn that's set as pawn, and then it will disable the input after you possess that character. So you can press E again until you get into the trigger box. This is the door. So at the start of the level or when begin play, it will be set to closed or the the position of the new rotation and the target. So at the beginning of when you step inside the box, it will play the time nod, timeline nod, And then when you're outside of it or step out of it, it will reverse, so it will shut where I have it coded. So on update, it will set the relative rotation by making a rotor. It will use the rotation percentage as the alpha, but it will have a closed rotation and open rotation that is used through lerp to return the value to the rotor, which is the Z position. Now we are on our elevator. So when the level is played, the elevator will start on top and it will be there. It will just start at top until you go inside the box. Then it will start playing. So it will do a do-in, and also it gets the player pawn, whichever one you use. And then when the player leaves the elevator, it will go in reverse, demonstrated by the timeline node. Sorry. On update, it will set the relative location of it. So it'll set the location of the elevator, and it will either start the elevator or it'll end the elevator and multiply to get to B, and then it'll return the value to the new location, and then the elevator height is alpha in our case. Lastly, we have the light switch. So when the player enters the overlap, it will branch off. It'll also show the other actor, which is if you possess them. So the condition is if it is true, it will do a flip-flop, in which it will either set the intensity to nothing, so there's no new intensity, it's just a regular light, or it will set the intensity to a very high number, which is also the point light component we were using. And that is it of this milestone. I hope you enjoyed.